So it's it is 3:05 p.m. Monday, 3rd February 2020. So I made an appointment to see my GP today at 12, but I cancelled it because in the morning I called Centrelink up and asked them why my mutual obligations. Why was my mutual obligations? Why was the exemption from my mutual obligation expired? And they did some checking and they extended my exemption from my mutual obligations to sometime in March, which makes sense since my disability pension support application is still being processed. So I canceled the appointment with the doctor because I just didn't feel like going. I was really a bit low today. I think I was feeling so hyped up for the past few days, just running. Maybe it's the weather. The weather was so hot, and combined with all of these issues with the medical assessment and everything, I think and also, like, I've noticed that when I make videos, I tend to get very hyped up. So even video making might have contributed to it. So today I felt a bit of a lull and low. I felt low. Yesterday I didn't eat my veggies but today I just prepared and cooked it. So yes. Anyway, like I was just like, I don't know. I'm just getting so tired. I'm just coming to realize, like, society is so coercive, and I did Google something. I wonder if I can do the web browser thing. Can I do the web browser thing? Can I? Oh, sorry. Let me see if I can do the web browser thing. Oh yes, I am doing the web browser thing. Alright, so let's Google something, shall we? Let's Google right not to work. If you Google that, you get these articles. Oh, I visited. This is like Google time because I visited today morning. So they've got this Wikipedia page, and I'm like, what? You mean this is a thing? So yeah, so I was feeling like maybe I should become an anarchist. International human rights law does not recognize the refusal of work or right not to work by itself except the right to strike. However, the Abolition of Forced Labor Convention adopted by International Labor Organization in 1957 prohibits all forms of forced labor. Well, that was interesting. So let's go to this article, shall we? So, abolition of forced labor. Let's go. Let's go to the. I want to actually go to the actual, not to the web archive version. Web archive version. Okay, so abolition. So Australia is a party to this convention, right? So let's look at these. Let's look at Article 1 of the convention. Alright. Article 1. Each member of the International Labour Organization, which ratifies this convention, undertakes to suppress and not to make use of any form of forced or compulsory labor, A, as a means of political coercion or education, or as a punishment for holding or expressing political views or views ideologically opposed to the established political, social, or economic system. So, for instance, if I believe I should not work, that is my political view. And if the government, if the established political, social, economic system thinks I should work and forces me, coerces me to work, to seek and find work, to accept a job against my will, that is like going against Article 1. See, they're infringing on Article 1, right? 1A. Now let's go to 1B. As a method of mobilizing and using labor for purposes of economic development. This could also apply because they want the people to go to work to what? It's for the purposes of economic development, right? When you work, you contribute to economic development. So even that could work. Now, I think this was initially drafted because, for instance, the Nazis used, Jews and other people for economic development in a very coercive manner. So it was part because it was adopted in, written in 1957. So maybe there was that kind of background. But this can be applicable even, these days as well. To what's happening in. To me, this is another one. The Right to be Lazy is an essay by Cuban-born French revolutionary Marxist Paul Lafargue, I don't know how you say it, written from his London exile in 1880. The essay polemicizes heavily against then contemporary liberal, conservative, Christian, and even socialist ideas of work. Lafargue criticizes these ideas from a Marxist perspective as dogmatic and ultimately false by portraying the degeneration and enslavement of human existence when being subsumed under the primacy of the right to work, and argues that laziness combined with human creativity is an important source of human progress. I would agree with that. So there's this whole theoretical kind of background for so it's like even the new NEET, not in employment, education, or training. So this is like so there's this whole background to this kind of life. There's also basic income there. So. And I found this very good, right to work and rights, and I don't want that. I don't want right to work. Right to refuse unsafe work. What is it? Should we have a right not to work? Philosophical. Yes, let's go with that one. Yes. I've always felt that work was kind of, I know this is going to sound very presumptuous, but I've always instinctually had an aversion to work. Not because of the actual physical task involved. The aversion I had to work was this idea of doing something for money, or how do I say this? Yeah, I've always found work to be something like undignified. Like a free human being should not work. The idea of working always never sat well with me, and this is maybe that's why I've never found a job or sought to find a job, I've always found the idea of working, especially under a boss who's telling you what to do, I've always found that idea to be kind of like, no, I don't want you telling me what to do with my life. Like, who are you? I've always found that to be very troubling, and apparently I'm not the only one who thinks this way. So, okay. But what about the right not to work? No, okay. Fairness to idleness. Is there a right not to work? Levine defends the claim that a right not to work is entailed by the fundamental principle of liberal egalitarianism of a roughly Rawlsian type. John Rawls, he's like a legal theorist, I think. He does, he said, because he wishes to highlight the more radical implications of the view. I also think that we are the world in which productivity will be taken over by machines. Its alleged improprieties will become less and less of an issue. Yeah, that's what people say. When the machines take over, what are people going to do? Alright, okay, this seems like an interesting article that could be worth. Yeah, I will put it into my reading list, but there was another article which is specifically discussing the Australian situation, neoliberal welfare. Oh, that's the one. Yeah, that's one. So I've started reading this article. This is like really a good kind of because on the one hand we have the right to social security. So what the government has recently done is like they've made this even more. I feel like this current government is basically bullying unemployed people. They're just bullying them, and the reason they allowed to get away with this is because the people who are the targets of these regressive measures, because they limit the right to social security, because the people targeted are usually they don't have a lot of they're not very politically active, Like, imagine if they did something like this to people to the middle class. You'd think that'll fly? No, it's like a class thing. The middle class and the whatever upper middle class, they are basically legislating to crush the unemployed people. The people who can't work, who don't want to work, who've got all kinds of other problems. And usually the people who are unemployed, usually a lot of them do have mental health problems. They got other issues, and they're basically bullying them. And it's also like some weird political thing where the public thinks that the unemployed are lazy and whatever, parasites or something. And I don't know, it's just such a weird thing where the majority wants to make themselves feel better by picking on usually the unemployed, by virtue of being unemployed, are already kind of like marginalized. You don't have a job, you're automatically like on the sidelines. So it's like a very horrible situation, and I feel like I want to fight back. I want to fight back. I'm not going to let these bullies essentially. Look at this. This was in 2006. It's gotten worse, I think, over time. This is job first policy for wealthy with them to greater market pressures and Anyway, so I actually wrote additional letters to the Sonic Health Plus, saying I don't want to work, I don't see the point of the psychiatrist assessment, and they got back to me. They didn't really write anything. because I think they were like worried about saying something, so they just said, thank you for your email. Please contact us on this number. Should you have any queries regarding your booking, kind regards. So they didn't want to. I don't think they wanted to have a discussion because they didn't want any written evidence or something, you know. I don't know. I'm not trying. They didn't answer my question about the defamation thing. So again, I'm not trying to defame Sonic Helpless. I'm just saying people usually don't want whatever they're thinking in the written form, because for all this legal stuff, no one wants to, like, I don't know, get in some legal thing where they might think, oh, I'll use this against them or something. I'm going to hold people to account, so, you gotta, you gotta, like, you have to be fair. You can't. I will try to hold people to account, yes. So, anyway, so another thing, like, there's this program I use, it's called Autopsy software. This program is used for digital forensics. So I've been using this like, basically you can go in and you can analyze your whole hard disk and find the, like, recent documents and all of that, and you can analyze it and stuff. So I've been using this, and I put the analysis on my main drive, and then it found some because this is useful, like law enforcement can use it. So, for instance, on my Google Chrome, I typed this thing called this phrase, okay, because this is what I was looking for, right? This is a song I was looking for, but when you actually go through the autopsy recent file, it says that in my Google, it highlights this section point. And when you read it, it's like, what? That's like a very questionable phrase, and it highlights it. I'm like, holy shit! So if a forensic investigator was going through my hard drive, this is one of the first findings they will see, like on my Google Chrome history. Like I searched for this phrase, and it'll be like a flag. It's like, oh, wait a minute. And then after that, right, I was also searching for this, what? Holy shit, did you off that? My kettle is like making this sound. I got this kettle and I keep on forgetting it. It's like, anyway, so this is still going. Alright. So anyway, and I also was searching. This is something I searched a long time ago. Fetishization of innocence. Because I was like, yeah, this is what, yeah, so and then it automatically comes up like, yeah, it's like another like questionable thing. What is this person? What are they looking for? What is this? Anyway, there was this is my this is my one of my lecturers when I went to college. That's I think that's her name. Yeah, yeah. She's my lecturer. Huh. I'm pretty sure because yeah. Anyway. Uh. Anyway, there was another one. It's like a book. Something about because look, there's this idea. I know we live in a culture where people are so occupied with this, pedophilia and child abuse, and there are all these laws being passed, and everyone's so paranoid. It's like there's this controversy where this dad was like he was naked and he was in a bathtub with his daughter, or like a baby is like is his child, and people are like, it's just like controversial and so I was like really like and I wanted to because the phrase fetishization of innocence is like it's like we see children like these angelic beings and we put them on a pedestal, and I don't think like in the 1950s, for instance, we wouldn't regard children in this kind of very weird way, it's like a fetishization of children, of innocence. It's like they're like, and it's like, so that's the idea I was looking for. But when you look at my autopsy analysis, it's like, okay, first there's sexy boy, and then there is fetishization of innocence. And there was this book called I don't know, was it this one? Anyway, there was a book. Oh, there you go. Look at this. Sexuality, Innocence, and Agency in Narratives of Child Sexual Abuse. Oh, look at that. Contemporary views of childhood consider young people as sexually innocent and lacking sexual instinct. Is really traumatic and see, this is kind of what I'm sort of like anyway, this is not exactly what I was. There was a book. Okay, so this is what I was searching for. So, but on my autopsy, the analysis, for instance, it like. So for instance, it'll in this this will be the hard disk, right? And if you go to the results, for instance, web history. If I click web history, if you look through your web history, it'll like all these things were coming up. I'm like, oh man, if someone. But only the first few results were like that. But then after that, because that program tends to promote these keywords on the to the top. Whereas after that, it was just normal, my own browsing thing. But this is a very interesting program to do digital forensics. So you can look through all of these things, and it'll look at deleted files and everything, and So I was like, oh man, what the hell? So it's like, because when I read that, I was like, what? I can't believe that, man. Yeah. So, yes. Anyway, so So the right not to work, there's another. This was another. I haven't read this, but this seems like a good thing to read. The right not to work, power and disability. I have a conversation. I have a confession to make. I do not work. I am on SSI. I do not think this, but this person is disabled. Like they've got some arthrogyrosis multiplex congenitalia. So they've got a physical disability. Whereas I've got a mental illness. This is a very big article. Yes. So anyway, so I feel like, you know, yeah, I feel like, I feel like I should be an anarchist or something. I don't know. I don't want to be an anarchist. I don't like the idea of being an anarchist. But I can sympathize with anarchist tendencies. I can definitely sympathize with them. But I myself, I don't think I would call myself an anarchist. But I can definitely sympathize with them. So, yes. So that's my day. Yeah, I think I'll, I don't know. So, that's what I'm doing. I need to relax a little bit and, stop this dream now. Stop this dream.